Hi, TF Reviews. Now for my very first video on this channel, um, I want to do character reviews on the Earthspark characters specifically. So, number one on my list is going to be Earthspark Bumblebee. Now, Bumblebee is very enthusiastic, but he's kind of like somebody in their early 20s, late teens, if that makes any sense. That's what he appears to me anyway. Um, Now, throughout the show, from episode 1 all the way up to, well, for right now until the next few episodes arrive, episode 18, there was definitely quite a bit of character development between episode 1 and episode 18. Now, I want to touch base with some parts of Bumblebee that some viewers may have not really seen or interpreted. So, Bumblebee kind of starts out as this eager soldier wanting to prove himself. As soon as Optimus has tasked him to mentor the Terrans, which at the beginning he absolutely dreads. he he wants to rush through it so quickly because he wants to go back out onto the field with the Autobots. He wants to continue fighting Decepticons, even though we all know the war is over at this point. Now, throughout the episodes, especially between episode 1 and episode 3, which I know is a very short time span, but even through those 3 episodes, you really get to see a lot of Bumblebee that starts to understand how the Terrans think. So, like, the Terrans are like these beings that were literally just born, like, I'm assuming by episode 3, a couple of weeks ago. So he has to now get into the mindset of basically a teenage sparkling, in a sense. And so he has to think, okay, how did I go about this when I was being trained under Optimus Prime or whoever his mentor was at the time? Now, the Terrans, they are a little at first. We all know this. But some of the characters do start to be lovable in the beginning, mainly of including in beginning of season 1, it's going to be Twitch and Thrash. Now, those two are like little egomaniacs, or not really, but they're like children at this point. So Bumblebee has to now figure out, okay, how do these guys work? And you really get to see that mainly between episode 1 and episode 3, but also throughout the majority of the season. Now, we're still waiting on episode 20 to 26, but we will get to that once those are out. So, the character development is actually, it's shockingly quick, and I really wish it was not this quick, because naturally with character development, it goes through on with seasons, not so much immediately in episode 3. Like, usually in most TV shows, regardless if it's targeted to kids, like Cyberverse, for example, the character development didn't really start until, like, episode 6 or 15, you know? But because Paramount's doing this weird episode thing, it's a little harder to do, so I completely get it. I get what the writers are trying to do. But besides that, Bumblebee isn't exactly a terrible character. I like how, okay, so we're all, and I could speak for really the entirety of the fandom, because I've seen a lot of people complain about it. We're all really sick of Bumblebee having the center of attention, because he's the Autobot that everybody loves, like, regardless how old you are. Like, if you're like a little kid to a freaking 30-year-old adult, you love Bumblebee to bits. Now, unfortunately, a lot of Hasbro and Paramount's money is going from Bumblebee, but that needs to change because unfortunately, with Bumblebee being the center of the spotlight, we're not getting much story or characterization from the other Autobot cast or Decepticon cast. We're just getting Bumblebee, and that I feel needs to change. Now, and I feel like it has actually started to change. Rise of the Beast, for instance, like Bumblebee had his moment in his solo film. Then we get Rise of the Beast, where he's just another side character. We still get footage of him. He still has his little bits and pieces of radio that he says, but it's a nice change of pace that he is not the center of attention. We finally have a new Autobot that does that, which is Mirage. Now, that's just my example. Now, with Earthspark, I feel like throughout the episodes, they're kind of phasing Bumblebee a bit back, as we have seen in the later episodes, near episode 8, specifically actually in 18. Um, because, well, Bumblebee doesn't want to get captured. Unfortunately, he was found out by ghosts that he was alive, because they just presumed him dead, for amounts of reasons, and we all know this. But unfortunately, knowing that with Ghost that he is still alive, he has to go into hiding, and then Optimus tasks him with the fact that he is trying to find Grimlock, which is an Autobot agent that unfortunately went missing. We do not know what happened to him, but we finally find out in episode 18. Now, sorry, I'm kind of veering away off track a little bit. Just Bumblebee as a whole, I feel like is getting better and is not becoming that annoying character that like everyone hates. Everyone will think it's Wheelie again, which personally I love Wheelie. And I will delete any hate comments towards me on that. Now, Bumblebee, he has like this connection. He starts to get this connection with the Terrans and the Moltos, and I love that. Like, I love how Bumblebee just as a whole, like I love how he has this connection to the humans. Like, even though yeah, he had a human friend that was Spike Witwicky actually in the G1 cartoon, which is what they're referencing. But I feel like Bumblebee would be like a good Autobot ambassador towards the humans. That's what I think Bumblebee would be, and he would be awesome at it. He just has this connection. In even though like, well, before the Terrans, he was the youngest Autobot, and he was the youngest, he was the smallest. That's why he was still in the scout rank. And then we don't know when he got the warrior rank in G1. We have no idea. I don't remember anyway. But it's just the character development has gotten really good. I know I'm speaking a lot about the character development, but I feel that is really important to me because I feel like in past media we haven't really gone specifically in certain characters, we haven't had good character development recently, and I feel like Hasbro is actually getting better with that. Um, like, like with Megatron, like we're getting more story from him. We don't really know what happened to Megatron, and I'm really excited to find out. I'm sure everyone else is. Like I myself, I'm a huge Megatron Decepticon fan, 100%, and I love the fact that they pulled the IDW part of it into a TV show. I was really hoping for that at some point, and they finally did. Now, that's just my thing. And with Bumblebee, I feel like Bumblebee isn't exactly he's like a mix of G1 and IDW Windblade series. Even though I know he was just a figment of Starscream's imagination in the IDW series, that's just basically what I think that he is. He's just two characters in one whole, basically. And I really hope that that does keep up, regardless if it's in this show or if it's in future media that they do. It's just really good. And Bumblebee, I feel, is really, really growing up. Like, he's not this little Volkswagen Beetle that we all loved in the 80s. He's just this bot that, like, we know he's not a kid anymore. He is really grown up. And, like, he's becoming just this great Autobot that just we all love. And not being that annoying little thing in the background. And to be honest, I like how they showed Bumblebee with the Volkswagen Beetle parts on him a little later in the season. I love that they did that, because to be honest, I'm a little of a car nerd. I love the Volkswagen Beetle. It is one of my favorite older cars, and it's just, oh man, just the way it looks, it really fits Bumblebee. It really does. But the new car that they chose, it kind of iffed me a little bit when I first saw it, but I've been watching this show like over and over and over because I love the show to bits. But eventually the car did grow on me, actually, quite a bit. So seeing from the new car that he is now all the way back to the Volkswagen, it is just weird. Especially in the especially when we see him in the flashbacks with that animation, it's just so weird. Like, it looks like that he should be smaller than he actually is, but he isn't. It's just very strange. It's just very weird. But yeah. That's pretty much all I gotta say. Just I really did grow up with Bumblebee, mainly in the Bayverse. So he was one of my favorite characters when growing up, but I feel like my interests have really delved away from Bumblebee. It was actually him and Optimus, to be honest. But my interests have kind of delved away from Bumblebee itself. Like, I love Bumblebee still as a character, but just not as much as I used to, unfortunately. Like, I wanted everything Bumblebee. Like, I wanted to be just like Alex. Like, not gonna lie, I really wanted to be Alex. But really, I had no way of actually doing that, unfortunately. But it's just the different variations of Bumblebee is just insane. Like, and the voice actor that they really chose for him, oh man, that was ridiculous. Like, I did not expect that voice at all. I was weirdly hoping for Jeremy Levi, actually. Like, Jeremy Levi as Bumblebee, whew, really good. I love him. But I'm shocked that they chose a different voice actor. But you know what? I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining at all, because the voice goes with the character and has expressed the lines so well. Like, the writers are fantastic. I love how they brought in, like, other voice actors, like, even older ones from past Transformers media. Like, for instance, Darren Norris, even though he had a slight cameo as the school teacher, it baffled me. I almost cried because I have not heard Darren Norris in any Transformers media since Transformers Prime when he played Knockout. Like, and then hearing him, I couldn't believe my ears. I actually had to look it up just to double check. Unfortunately, the cast list didn't come out yet, so I had to wait a couple weeks. But then I had to wait for the credits. I saw in the credits it was him, and oh man, I bloody cried. Like, oh man, like, this show, it really, they're not just touching the younger audiences, they're also bringing in the older audiences by doing that, and I love it. Just, the show isn't, I know, the next Herald, but the way that they're doing it is completely different from a lot of past media like Cyberverse and Forgive Me, Rid 2015. That show must go away. But like even in Cyberverse, like in War for Cybertron trilogy, like War for Cybertron trilogy I love, but this must beat the number one spot for me for War for Cybertron. War for Cybertron is just number two now. Just damn. But anyway, I hope you guys really like this review. I will be making a schedule very soon, but overall, yeah, and I hope you guys stay cool. And see you in the next one.